Hey, partners in business partners, here's how I work my list. It's going to be short, sweet, and just completely awesome. When I first started working lists, I did the more complicated methods and tried and experimented with different things, and it didn't work for me. And I ultimately decided that I wanted the simplest thing because there's no such thing as a perfect way to do a list, not that I know of anyway. So I wanted to do something that would take the least amount of time where I was actually working my list, like, the editing part and modifying, and the most amount of time actually talking to people, because that's where the profitability is actually talking to people and inviting them. So my list is this. It's this simple. A 50-cent college-ruled spiral notebook from almost any department store or office store. Pretty simple. And it's just the first column, I got the date. Second column, I've got their name. And the third column is very ever rarely used, at least for me personally. So the only time I ever put something in the third column is if there's something really special about this contact that I need to write down. Or more likely it's because it's an offline contact that I've made, and 99.9% of my business growth is online, especially Facebook and social media. So I rarely actually develop any leads offline, but it does happen, and that's when I would typically use the third column. But otherwise it's just date and the name, then go down to the next line, date and the name, maybe double space if I need to make it neater and easier to read. So that's it. That's my list. So on Facebook, for example, I never delete the messages. So I can just plug in their name in the search field in my private message inbox on Facebook, and it brings up the entire conversation because I never delete any of it. I can see what transpired, what I shared with them, like what step of the invitation process we left off on, or whatever. It's there. So that's a pretty awesome thing. And on Facebook, you can also leave messages marked as unread. So if you want to keep a message marked as unread for a reminder to know to go back, that's pretty cool. Then you've also got it written down in your list. That's a pretty neat thing. Now, I do not, because this comes up a lot, I do not write names down in my list when I'm just trying to pique somebody's interest. Like, hey, I got this thing going. Would you like to know more about that? Basically step one of an invitation process, just piquing their interest to see if they even know. That's not a lead in my opinion, because they haven't expressed interest one way or another. Now if somebody writes me and they start the conversation, hey Tom, tell me about this thing that you're doing. Okay, they're a list. I will write their name down and I will ask them, just curious, why are you curious? Or a variation of that. What makes you want to know more about it? I'd love to share it with you, but just curious, why do you want to know more about this? Maybe I can help you out. Who knows? So at that point they're a lead. I will write their name down. And if I'm just asking them and I'm the one trying to start the conversation, if they don't write back, which is going to be, in my experience, most people don't write back, I don't write their name down. They're not a lead yet. Not until I get to the next part where they've written back and at least said, sure, Tom, well, it depends. Tell me more about it. What is it? Sure, thank you for thinking of me, or whatever variation that they use. Once they express interest, I write their name down. Otherwise, I would do nothing else except writing and jotting down notes in that list, which is not profitable, but it's important because without a list, you're out of business. Just so you know that, you've got that distinction down. So in the follow-up time, because that's why I need that list, so I know who to follow up with, because the fortune is in the follow-up. Ideally, 24 to 48 hours later. That's ideal. And I don't always stick to that. You're going to find what works best for you. Sometimes I find it better to just, like every Sunday and Wednesday, for example, I'll have it marked in my calendar to get caught up on all the follow-ups. So a couple days a week, divided evenly like that. You can pick 1 or 2 days that works best for you. Like let's say every Friday night and Tuesday night might work best for you to just do all your follow-ups that way. I don't know. And then you just go back to that list and you know who you've got to follow up with. In other words, you're not going to follow up with somebody you just wrote today. Wait till at least tomorrow or the day after. The list is very helpful for that because you've dated it. And then you got their name on it too. And as long as you're following up at least once or twice a week, getting caught up on your follow-ups, and they're not just going to be this, mounting thing of unfinished tasks that just builds and builds and builds and builds and builds. And just so you guys know, most of my follow-ups are with people that just haven't written back after like maybe step 2 of the invitation process where they've already expressed an interest. But I do not write back, and I don't follow back to people who haven't even responded to step 1, a peak interest question, because they haven't expressed any interest yet. And since I'm inviting about, according to my daily core of activities, if you're following that, you're inviting at least 10 people a day. That adds up. That's at least 70 invitations sent out a week. And if you're following up with everyone who doesn't write back, then it doesn't leave much time to be doing profitable activities. Anyway, I hope that helps. I talked a little bit more about than, only the list. If I just mentioned that, it would take me like 20 seconds to shoot this video, but there's other relevant things that go into that list, like follow up, when to follow up, how to follow up. I didn't really get into how to follow up, but I got other videos for that. If you want to see them, just ask me, or maybe I might link them in this video. Yeah, that'd probably be a good idea. So look for that in the description if you're confused on how to follow up with people. And I hope you've enjoyed this video, got some value from it, because keeping a list is the lifeblood of your business. We don't have to keep inventory, but our inventory is actually our list. And if we don't have a list, we are out of business. It's not getting off the ground. So master that list and just keep it super simple. It takes me just a second to go on my list and write down the date and somebody's name. And then I get back to the profit-producing activities, which is talking to new people, inviting them, prospecting, and so on and so forth. Take care, everyone.